Welcome to another Zoom call, everybody. I hope that everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend and got your Christmas decor all up and start celebrating the rest of the Christmas holiday here. Okay, we're going to jump right to the questions. What are your thoughts on grounding or earthing? We are considering purchasing a grounding mat for my bed. Will this interfere with running the Rife programs? No. So I am very much a fan of doing the grounding. The grounding is very beneficial. I mean, some people go, "Oh, that's just a bunch of hooey." But when you really think of it, it makes all the sense in the world, because what grounding is basically you are an antenna. You are a human antenna, and you are picking up um, positively charged ions all day long. So positively charged ions all day long are are attaching to your body. So this is exactly why it's even worse in the winter when the air is dry. You're picking up positively charged ions. Um, that is why when you rub your feet against the carpet and you touch somebody, you can give them a shock, because you're distributing those positively charged ions to someone who is less positively charged. Have a more negative charge. You've created a more positive charge by rubbing your feet against the ground. Um, that is that is normal. When you go outside and you stand on the ground has negative electrons. So you are discharging those positively charged ions, and you're balancing with the negative charge of the ground. So that's the whole idea of grounding. Well, this phenomena is known in electricity as well, and it's helpful so that you don't get a shock with your appliances when you have a charge going through them to produce electricity. So back in the 50s, they came up with grounding your electrical houses, your electrical system in your house. And that third little thing is your ground. That goes back to the breaker box and hopefully is connected to a copper wire that then goes outside and is wrapped around a copper post that is pounded into the ground. You should have a half-inch copper rod that's pounded several feet into the ground so that your electrical system is completely grounded. So if your electrical system is grounded, then you're less apt to get a shock with your appliances. It's safer for your electrical system in your house. Well, it's the same thing with our bodies. So if you can ground yourself, since you're standing on a wooden floor, carpeted floor, or something like that, you're not getting that doesn't have a negative electron charge. So you're not grounding yourself. So if you can plug in something like this to the wall, to the ground of your electrical outlet, that will then sense have a copper wire that goes all the way back to the breaker box that then goes out to the ground that is pounded in copper tube that's pounded into the ground. In a very real sense, discharge your positively charged ions into the ground that way. It does work electrically. This picture shows how I don't want you to put on a grounding sheet. So this is how, if you don't have a Rife, this would be the right way if you're the only person being grounded. If you don't have a partner sleeping next to you, be kind of selfish if you just did it this way and left your partner ungrounded. But if you didn't have a partner sleeping next to you, you could put a grounding sheet on this way. If this is a half sheet, you put it on this way. You would be completely grounded all night long. You're sleeping on this sheet. and it's going back to the breaker box, going back to the ground in the ground. So you're discharging the positively charged ions. I tell people, though, if you have a rife, put it on this way, put it sideways. So it's just on the lower half of your bed. Put the grounding sheet sideways so it's on the lower half of your bed across the whole bed. Even if you don't have a partner, do it that way so that um, you are getting the grounding benefits of a grounding sheet, but typically you don't. Like this is put on over the mattress here, but then we would put the fitted sheet over the top of that. So it's put underneath your fitted sheet, but put it on the lower half of your bed across the whole bed. That way you're not losing your frequencies to the grounding mat. And you're still getting the benefits of grounding. Now, a lot of people will use a grounding mat on their chair. Let's say if they work from home and they're sitting in a certain chair all the time, or they spend a lot of time sitting in a chair, they'll use a grounding mat on that chair. You could do that way too. You do get grounding when you pet your animal, because if your animal goes outside, if you have a dog or a cat that goes outside, because that dog or cat or horse or pet donkey that you have then is going out standing with all four of his feet or hooves on the ground, discharging any positive charged ions. He's full of good negative ions, and then you pet him, and then you discharge your positive ions onto the animal. Well, that's not good for the animal. Well, it's creating a completely inner charge because it's balanced out, and the dog goes back outside again, so you're not hurting the animal. So that's why animals can be really good for you. Now, if your pet cat never goes outside, it's never getting grounded, so that's not helpful. So, but if you have an animal that does go outside, it's very helpful. We've spoken about this in the past. This is why I think horse therapy is very beneficial. You take a autistic child and you put them on a horse and they just seem to calm right down. Well, that horse is discharging a lot of negative electrons onto the child and really helping balance the brain waves of the child. Horse therapy can be beneficial for people that have been emotionally wounded with traumas as well, and it does have to do with that negative electron discharge. Also, animals can sense when a person is injured mentally, either emotionally, and that can be beneficial too. So, grounding pads, grounding sheets, grounding chairs, grounding different things like that can be extremely helpful and beneficial. We do have them for sale in our store, and we actually have a Ground Me bundle on sale right now. I've had it on sale for quite a while, but you could look at that too. I have colorectal cancer and my tumor is on the outside of my rectum. I've been doing chemo for a year and a half, and it's been the same chemo every 2 weeks and every three. Been getting this chemo. In the beginning, the results were good, but recently I had scans done, and the results show that the cancer now is spreading again to my lymph node. And the original tumor has now increased again in size. Lately, it feels like the chemo is hurting the tumor more than helping. Let's stop right there. This is another point that we've talked about in the last few sessions that we've had, and that it's good to switch up the therapy. I know that we have had people that have been on a therapy for a very long time, whether it be a natural therapy or a standard oncological therapy like a chemo or like um, immunotherapy with really good results, and the oncologist doesn't want to change things. And I understand that, and it's like, okay, if things are going well, then maybe don't change anything. But sometimes the cancer is finding other fuel sources and finding a workaround with something that you're doing and you just need to make changes. I don't understand why your oncologist wouldn't make a change here, or wouldn't be the first one to recommend we got to stop this and change something else, because usually they do. But certainly, if what you're doing now, the cancer has found a workaround around this, you need to make some changes. Either you just completely stop chemotherapy altogether, and we need you need to contact me, because we should have a phone call and relook at your natural therapy as well, because that should be changed as well if there's a change in your cancer like this. Um, and or you talk to your oncologist about changing the chemotherapy. Now, been doing 4 different chemotherapy drugs, there might not be anything from a chemotherapy perspective to change to, and maybe that's why your oncologist isn't like, we need to change things right away, because he doesn't have any other tools in his tool bag. Well, we have to, from a natural perspective, make some changes. If the cancer's found a workaround, found another way to grow, found a pathway to feed itself, then you need to make changes. It's just as simple as that. It's possible that chemo could be negatively affecting the tumor. It's probably not like feeding off the chemo, so it's supporting the chemo. The chemo is supporting the tumor. That's probably not it. But if the chemo isn't killing it at all, then the chemo is just hurting your own immune system, and then from a secondary standpoint, the chemo is allowing the cancer to grow unabated, because your immune system is becoming neutralized by the chemo. So if it was me, I would make a decision to stop the chemo immediately. Can my body get immune to the chemo as it does with supplements or anything else? Yep, exactly. So it's not that your body's getting immune to something, but it's that the cancer's getting smart. Remember, your cancer is your old cells; they're just trying to stay alive. So we just you have to switch things up sometimes. So schedule a time that we can talk. We should do another cheek swab, and we should just do a complete new workup for sure. Next question. Inflammatory pain has gotten so much worse. Should I be taking the Clear Inflam? I'm not taking most of its ingredients. So whenever you see something like this, inflammatory pain has gotten much worse. Should I take, whatever? Well, first you have to ask the question, what is the inflammation from? So what is the cause of that? Even if the person, let's say they have stage 4 cancer and the inflammatory pain has got so much, well, still, what is the inflammation from? Is it from the growth of the cancer? Is it from, some other infection? Is it from, is the inflammation from a therapy that you're doing to try to cause an inflammatory reaction to the cancer? Is it from a sensitivity, a food sensitivity, or some other allergen? If the patient doesn't have cancer, is it from uh, an allergy or food sensitivity? Is it from an autoimmune issue? Is it from, you got to figure out what it is. So you don't, I've said whenever you have inflammation, you can take the things that are in the product Clear Inflam, which are just a collection of bioflavonoids. It's curcumin, it's boswellia, it's stinging nettle, it's resveratrol, it's EGCG from green tea extract, it's quercetin. These are flavonoids that will help decrease inflammation. Well, all inflammation is bad. Well, no, not all inflammation is bad. You want to figure out what the inflammation is from, and you really have to address that first, because you could take, a bottle of the Clear Inflam a day, and if you don't fix what the inflammation is from, well, it's going to be a losing battle. So, but if you know what it's from, it's let's say you have an autoimmune issue and you have this inflammation because of a flare up. Yes, you can always be safe by taking flavonoids to decrease inflammation. My husband's hemoglobin is 7.8 right now. 7.8 is very low on anybody's scale. Most doctors' offices or hospitals will suggest that you get transfusion or packed red blood cells when you're below 8. They might have a rule below 8. Some of them have a rule you have to be below 7.5 or whatever their rule is. But that is very low hemoglobin. Um, that is anemia, and that is going to make you feel like you have no energy. So they are recommending IPT therapy, and he needs his numbers to be 8.0 to get this treatment. So their rule is in order to get the IPT, you have to have your hemoglobin above 8.0 in order for us to give it to you. Because IPT is insulin potentiated chemotherapy, it's still chemotherapy, even though it's 10% or thereabouts the dose of a normal chemotherapy. It's still chemotherapy, and it'll still, do head knock on your red blood cell count and your hemoglobin count. So um, they have their parameters that they want to stick to. He said her husband does not want IPT therapy right now. So should he still get a blood transfusion if he will be not getting the IPT? My answer would be yes, I would do that for sure. It'll make you feel a lot better. You need to get your numbers back up. Let's say, okay, this person has been doing some therapies that have been from the standards of care perspective that have been knocking down his hemoglobin, but certainly that's not the only thing that is. So you have some anemia, maybe the cancer's gobbling up the iron. That's at least a piece of it, what's called anemia of chronic disease. And getting a transfusion can really help boost the hemoglobin levels up, and it can make a person feel a lot better. So I would suggest that you go ahead and do the transfusion. Will make you feel a lot better. That's all the questions that we had to come in today. So let's get to your other questions. Thank you for recommending Dandy tea as a coffee substitute. I like it. Since this tea is derived from dandelion, is it a liver detoxifier? It is. It's good for you. So it's dandelion root, and it's a roasted chicory in there. And it's good, isn't it? It's actually a good coffee substitute that's actually really good for you too. So it's a healthy tea that's a great coffee substitute. Everybody in the office uses it on a very regular basis, so it's a great thing to take. It's called Dandy Blend. So if anybody else wants to know Dandy Blend, you can just buy it on Amazon. We don't have it in our store, but you can buy it on Amazon. It comes in a bag, and it's like an instant coffee. You just put it in a cup and add hot water and stir it up. So it's very easy to use. It's very easy to take with you different places. If you're going to go meet somebody at a restaurant or a coffee shop, you can just bring that with and ask for a cup of hot water, and you can mix up your own and still participate in things. Hi, Dr. Connors. When I go to find past Zoom calls, I can't find them. It is the search emoji in the top of the members page, right? I've been gone for about a month now. No, so in the members page, go to the Zoom call page. So in the members, so I'm going there right now. On the members site, go to the Zoom call page. So there's the member site has numerous pages. One of the pages is Zoom calls. Go to the Zoom call page, scroll down, and you'll see all the past Zoom calls. So it'll say past Zoom calls, and they're all there. 7 years of past Zoom calls every week. I think I missed about 6 weeks, all the 7 years doing it. They're all right there. The only one that stands alone is when YouTube took our Zoom call platform down for a week. We had to post one by itself. You'll see that there too, underneath the playlist. We are actually Dustin is producing our our own video platform, because YouTube is picking off a video of ours, at least one a week, where they're saying it doesn't meet their criteria. We fall into their medical misinformation, um, uh, spanking, and they're deleting um, one of our YouTube videos every week. A number of months ago, they demonetized our channel, thinking that they're giving us a giant spanking by demonetizing our channel. Well, our channel was never monetized. I guess it was monetized, but we never made a penny off our channel. It's not like we're highly viewed or anything like that, but they thought that was going to be a big slap. Well, we can see the writing on the wall. They're going to just take our entire channel down. They're going against anybody that is speaking about the alternative cancer um, perspective at all. So is Google. Basically, we're getting fewer and fewer inquiries because Google is blocking all our Google AdWords. So it's difficult for somebody to find us. It's not just us, it's all the alternative doctors, all the alternative cancer doctors. This is just the world that we live in. We are just being, it's just what it is. So we had, Dustin and I talked about this months ago, that we need to get our own video channel because YouTube's just going to take our channel down. So it is up and it is running. You can see it at videos.connersclinic.com. We only have about half our videos on there because we have so many videos that the people that we have putting it on there, it's taking some time to get all those videos on. So it'll be our own channel that they can't touch anymore. It's hosted safely by a safe company that believes in health freedom. So we will, that's our own page. And we will have all our YouTube videos up there too. The only issue right now is that the YouTube has that ability to create a playlist, and the company that is hosting our YouTube, our new channel, does not have that. So they're creating that for us, so that's going to take some time to get that playlist up. So hopefully YouTube will not cancel us before we get all of that done. So it's videos.connersclinic.com is the channel. So all of our videos on our website then will actually be embedded from that. All our videos on our blog will be embedded from that instead of from YouTube. Currently, all our videos on our courses and all of our videos on our member site are embedded and held through HubSpot. That's who hosts all our courses sites, and our member site, because we saw the writing on the wall with that as well. When we created those sites, we wanted to create it outside of Google's reach and outside of YouTube's reach and Facebook's reach, because they are under the jurisdiction of the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm not being cynical, it's just the truth. So, but we needed to get our own video platform. Okay, so thank you. Also, I'm taking the SCIAC tea tincture. Do you have a preferred method of taking it? Yes. So, Tao Renee Cassie, who her last name is spelled backwards, is SCIAC, who got the original formulation from the Ojibwe chief, who used it up in Canada for cancer patients until the Canadian communist government shut her down when she was actually giving it away, had her clinic free of charge. She was just totally doing it as a ministry, helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cancer patients till she was shut down. How she instructed to take the tea was to drink it like a tea. So you take the tablespoon and you put it in a cup and you add hot water just like you drink tea, and then you sip it. And the instruction is you sip it for about 15 to 30 minutes, similar to how you drink tea, and preferably on a fairly empty stomach. So you're not drinking it with food. You're drinking it on a fairly empty stomach. Now, I know people that have, the Essiac tea tincture has come out with, different companies use the same herbal formulation or something similar, and it's in capsule form, and people have taken that and have done well and gotten better. But the original way to take it was as a tea. That's why it was called Essiac tea. So putting it in a cup, hot water, sipping it on a relatively empty stomach was the way that Renee, who was a nurse, was taught, and that's how she taught others to take it. Now, we will have the link to our video channel up on our website, and just so you know, we will have the link to our video channel up on our member site and everything. We just haven't put that up there yet because it's not completely done uploading all the videos. It'll probably be another week. And then we have to get them all arranged. And I mean, you can look at the videos. They're the same videos that are on YouTube for the most part. Now we're putting all our new shorts on there. Well, I think Grace is still putting some on YouTube too, but we'll have it all arranged. It'll take us another month or so, and we'll get it completely orderly and user friendly. So. All right, any other questions? Here's a question. The little red light above the words bulb power on the front of the generator that comes on and blinks when a program is running isn't lit anymore. The big tube lights up, and flashes, and we can hear the same noises, but the little bulb isn't lit any longer. Or it's really dim. We can't really see it lit, even though in a completely dark room, we can't really see it. Okay, so those little bulbs are little low voltage bulbs. They're supposed to run for years, but they do burn out. Sometimes they get bumped, when you're moving the rife around. Sometimes they could get banged from the bulb as you put the bulb back next to it or something. It could get bumped, or they could just burn out. So yeah, so after a period of time, sometimes they don't work. I've had a machine where when the on-off switch, when you turn it on, it doesn't light up. That's lit, it lights up red. When you turn that on, it doesn't light up, but the machine is on and it's running. I think it's kind of a blessing when those lights go out, because if I designed the thing, I wouldn't design it with any of those lights on there because they're annoying. So as long as you have frequencies coming out of the bulb, the hammer tube that you're using, that's all that matters. None of the other lights matter at all. And again, if I was the designer of it, I wouldn't even have it on there. So good questions, though. Another question come in I do want to address, because somebody asked this question in the office today, that they're getting the generator null error. So they're getting that error message that it can't communicate with the generator. So they're trying to run a program and it won't communicate with the generator. Now, even in version 6.4, which TrueRife has boasted that you'll get less and less of that now with the new 6.4 program, we've had people have that same problem even with the 6.4. The reason why sometimes when you turn on your Rife and it says can't communicate with your generator, do you have your generator plugged in? You have to go through the troubleshooting. Well, did it get unplugged? Did USB, cable come out from the port in the computer? Did it come out from the back of the Rife machine? That should be your first thing that you look at. Um, no, that's all working. It'll give you that error, can't communicate with the generator if your Rife isn't turned on. So if your machine itself is turned off, then it doesn't read that there's any generator there. So it's going to give you that generator null error there. But people have troubleshooted. No, it's all plugged in. It's all turned on. Everything's that's not the issue. When you're running your Rife machine, this is why we typically recommend when you hit run on your Rife machine to close your computer. When you close your computer, you're putting your computer to sleep. Because as soon as you hit run on the computer, it sends the program to the generator. It sends the program to the F117 or F122. You don't need the computer anymore once you hit run. You could unplug the computer and you can bring it in the other room. It will still run the program. The program has been sent to the generator to run. I know a lot of people like to look at the program on the computer and look at the frequency that it's running and look at the countdown of the time and all that kind of stuff. Don't do that. And the reason why I say don't do that is when you have the computer open, you are actually exposing yourself to EMFs because every computer produces, EMFs. You don't need that. Secondly, you are exposing the computer to the frequencies from the Rife machine. You don't think these frequencies are strong. They are strong, and they can feed back to the computer, and they can kind of mess up the program a little bit. And so the countdown, sometimes people have said the timer's going up, it's not going down. What the blazes is that? Well, it's because the frequencies are just kind of messing with it. It still run the program, but it can mess with the frequencies. If you have a tendency to leave your computer open and run your program, it can throw off the communication from the computer to the generator. Not this time, let's say it's running, but next time you try to run a program, it doesn't read the generator because you threw off that connection. So the solution to that is to, number one, just close your computer when you run a program so you don't have that, because it puts the computer to sleep and the computer is now, not being affected by the frequencies. But if that does happen, then, just shut everything down, turn your computer down, reboot it, and it should be just fine. Worst case scenario, you could lose the driver, but that doesn't happen that often. You'd have to download the driver from the website, and we'd have to show you how to do that. Matter of fact, we do have instructions on, I don't know if we do. I think we do have some instructions on the member site to do that, but that should not be a problem and should not be something you have to do. But back to a question about the Rife and grounding. If your feet are grounded, you once mentioned the Rife frequencies would not dissipate throughout your body as well. This was discussed primarily with the Rife grounding mat as opposed to the earthing grounding mat. So any grounding mat is the same thing. It's just a conductor of electricity back to your house ground. So the idea that I've always said, and I know Mike, when Mike was with TrueLife, he always said, oh, you should use a grounding sheet and put the grounding sheet on your bed, just do the whole full sheet on the bed. But my argument was, okay, any frequencies that you have coming out of that bulb are going to be attracted to the ground. Okay, they're going to be attracted to that ground and be carried basically out through that pad, through the wire, back to the breaker box, back to the grounding rod. That's going to be its first desire. Electricity desires the easiest mode of transfer. So that's going to be its first desire. So if you're trying to treat cancer all night and you have the bulb right on your belly and you're sleeping on your back. So let's pretend, if you could see a picture of yourself in your mind, you're laying on your back, you're laying on your mattress. Your mattress has a grounding sheet on it, and the bulb is right over your belly. Well, then the frequencies are going to go right through your body, and it's going to go to that grounding mat. it's going to have a less of a chance for it to dissipate. Let's say if you have brain cancer, it's going to have a less of a chance to dissipate up to your head because it'll be more attracted to the grounding mat. Now, the truth be told, you're going to still get lots of frequencies that are hitting your brain and your brain cancer. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But just to be safe, I always said only use the grounding mattress cover that you put on your mattress on the lower half of your bed. So it's like at your lower waist, your buttocks, and down. Therefore, because not everybody sleeps on their back all night long holding the bulb on their chest, right? The bulb falls to your side, you roll to your side. For me, my bulb is always on my side. If my bulb was on my side, basically laid right on the mattress, and there was a grounding mat right there, I would lose a percentage of the frequencies right through the ground, and they would have less of an impact on me. Well, if I have cancer or any disease and I want to be using a rife, I want the frequencies to go through me and hit that site as much as possible. Well, I also want to be grounded. Well, yeah. So personally, I don't use a grounding mat when I'm sleeping. And all summer long, I don't use a grounding mat at all. And I did in the past have a grounding mat. Um, uh, in the winter, I used to have one on my chair at work that I sat on. I don't anymore. Personally, I get outside a lot. Yes, in the winter, I don't go outside barefoot. So that's why I used a grounding mat on my chair during the winter time. But in the summer, I'm outside all the time and I'm barefoot all the time. So I don't think I have any issue with, too much positively charged um, uh, ions on my body in the summertime. Winter, probably more of a problem. And I would benefit from using either a mat on my bed um, or like a grounding sheet on my bed, but I'd use it on the lower half of my bed or a grounding sheet or a grounding pad on my chair. So any one of those things are good, but just do it on if you're doing it on your bed, just do it on the lower half of your bed. Should you close the computer when using the Ion ProWave 2? Well, it's not going to be as important because you got the frequencies going through the water and they're farther away from it, so I would not worry about that. Our laptop you gave us with our Rife doesn't work unless it is plugged in now. Yeah, sorry, those batteries on those little laptops burn out. That's why we always tell people, always leave it plugged in. Seems like the battery is not recharging anymore. And quite honestly, you get most of your EMFs from the battery. So you're much better off having the laptop plugged in all the time anyhow. So it's safer for you. You're getting less EMFs when you don't have a battery in your laptop. I know some people in their laptops, they've actually taken the battery out of it. This is years ago. I don't even know if they'll work without the battery in it now. But if your battery doesn't recharge, the battery's not working, it's not discharging any EMFs. So it's much better if it's just plugged in. Is it okay to have to plug it in each time waiting to die on us? No, you should have it plugged in all the time. So always have the plug, never unplug your laptop. How does the supplement Immune Alavia help with cancer? So Alavia Immune is a great supplement for cancer because it comes from the aloe plant. That is pull it up here. That is and it's pulling out just the polysaccharide. So understand the polysaccharides that are there's a certain group of polysaccharides that are immune modulators that really help bring balance to the immune system. So an immune modulator is something that when your immune system is suppressed, in the case of cancer, it boosts up your immune system. When your immune system is hyper expressed, in the case of like an autoimmune disease, it can actually help bring down that immune system and bring it back into balance. That's the beauty of an immune modulator. Now, the benefits that mushrooms have in that is the component of the mushroom that's called polysaccharides. And the different types of mushrooms have different chained polysaccharides. So poly means many, saccharides is sugar. So don't think it's sugar like it's glucose, but it's a polysaccharide. It has a completely different expression on the body. It doesn't break down into glucose. So it's not going to affect your blood glucose, nor is it going to feed the cancer. So a polysaccharide works on the immune response in your body. But it is, they found in research that it's a certain chain polysaccharide. I think it's like 300 saccharide molecules, 300 to 500 saccharide molecules that have the best expression on immune stimulation. Now, different mushrooms work differently because they have different polysaccharides in them. So the turkey tail tends to be better for certain cancers, and reishi is different for different cancers, and maitake is different for different cancers. That's why I like from a mushroom standpoint is to use a blend. Now, turkey tail has been found to be much more beneficial for breast cancer. That's why we'll tend to use turkey tail for breast cancer. But there's polysaccharides in more things than mushrooms. The aloe plant has a lot of polysaccharides in it. And this company, Aloevia, has patented a way to separate out the polysaccharides between, I think it's 300 to 500 size polysaccharides, and that's all that's in the immune product. So it's taking 3 Aloevia immune a day is like taking 12 to 18 just standard mushroom capsules a day, because you're getting very specific immune modulating, immune stimulating properties in the Aloevia immune. Aloevia immune is a powerful cancer killer. I've spoken about it a lot because that is the product that I used for my cancer, along with black sap bloodroot and a number of other things. I did take mushrooms as well to get a full balance of different polysaccharides too. But we have a lot of people on the Aloevia immune product. It's a great product. So the benefit of the Aloevia immune is the polysaccharide size. So it's the size of polysaccharides, the number of saccharides in that polysaccharide chain that makes it unique. And that fraction of polysaccharide is a patented form of separation. So there's I think they share it with one other company that has rights to use it, but otherwise you won't find it any other way, any other place. So any other questions? All right. Well, thank you guys for being on. And if you have anything in between calls, make sure you get your questions into the member site, and know that we're praying for you, and we're just praying everybody has a great holiday season here with your families, and you can stay focused on that and remember the reason for the season. All right, love you all. Bye bye now.